Hey there. Sorry I'm late. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Teresa.
Okay, good. So we got Ashley said she was gonna try, she's traveling. She didn't get the email until late in regards to the meeting. She said she was traveling and would try to participate in the meeting. So, you guys, looks like we're missing Buzz. Is Buzz coming? Wayne?
Haven't heard. Can you hear me all right, Teresa?
I can hear you a little, you're a little soft, but you're okay. Let me send him an email.
I thought he said he got the email, but I logged in through the email that you sent. Did we all get it? Because I didn't get one.
Yeah, I see you're as Teresa Pollock, so
Yeah, I'm not helping
I don't
your
think you
looks
want to be
none, I
me.
promise.
I don't think you want to be me. So Ashley, I'm on the, oh, Ashley's on the call, yay. Okay, so she is on the call as a call person.
She's just as an attendee.
She's, yeah, as an attendee, she's on as a phone call. Let me go ahead and let her in. Can I do that?
Should be, if you're the host, you should be able to promote her to a panel.
Well, I'm looking at it, but it doesn't let me click on it other than that.
I just made you co-host. I think I did just made you co-host. Maybe that's the wrong one.
Let me send Buzz an email here real quick to see if he's coming on. Isn't he on vacation?
There he is.
Oh, there he is. Okay, I was just sending you an email.
I think it's just trying to get Allison in.
I'm trying to do that. I can ask her to unmute.
Hey guys, it's Ashley Cullop. You should be able to hear
Ashley.
me now.
We can hear you, Ashley.
Oh, good. Okay, I'm here. I'm listening.
Okay. And Bridget, is Bridget coming?
I've not heard from Bridget. Let me
Okay.
text her.
So I want to introduce you guys. Do you all know Brennan Duncan? He is the city's traffic engineer. Is that correct, Brennan? That's your title?
That's correct.
Okay. So since I'm just an admin person and I'm not really
Technical?
yes, I'm not technical whatsoever. I have no idea about codes and requirements of the city codes and such. Since Ashley and Sam have come on board, you know, it was important to have somebody to support the towing advisory group as necessary in what you guys are doing to make sure that it's within city code, code-wise, and as well as within the state codes. Let's see here. Okay, so Buzz is having some audio problems, so he said he'd let us know when he's able to. So I'm going to be stepping away from these meetings, and Brennan will be your new representative for this, so that you have somebody who can technically support you all in regards to that. There's Bridget.
Yeah, she just texted me. She was loading the app. So let me ask you, Teresa, so with Brennan on here, does that give us a legitimate city person? Like, because like, I think was it the city attorney or the city manager was supposed to be in on these meetings? Does he take
Well-
that person's place, or does it still, because from what I was
Yeah.
understanding the other week, if we haven't had who's listed on the ordinance, which I'm, mine's buried in paperwork over here, I'm pretty sure was the city attorney or the city manager. That means we haven't really had a quorum out of all these meetings we've had.
Well, so I want to kind of give you a briefing on what's, with all of this, with everything that's gone on with COVID, there's been so much and the turnover in city staff. There's been difficulty in understanding. I really had no clue. I was just asked to sit in to give you guys the support and help you with, with the basically, typing up stuff and doing the changes and sending out meeting notices about what was required. Now, as a towing advisory committee, we've been meeting like every other month, and we are required, I believe, by the code to meet once a year. Okay, so that's a requirement. So we've been meeting more than that to update the towing code that you guys have been reviewing and had suggested. So I forwarded the information to Brennan so that he's aware of what we've been doing. You got a question? Are you sweating at flies, Wayne? Wayne, are you okay? Okay, I'm going to continue on. So I guess Buzz isn't back on here yet.
Hey
So you
y'all,
guys-
I'm a phone number in there because I couldn't get the Zoom to work, but I got it in by phone.
Okay, let me go ahead and see where you're at. Let's see. See, I'm not seeing you via phone. Oh, there you are. I can.
You see a 918?
No, I'm not seeing any other phone number. Remy, you might want to check that out. Can you?
I see one person joining us via phone.
Via phone? That's
See
Ashley.
Yeah, I don't see anybody else.
I think the other one is, you might have logged in with Teresa's phone, because there's two Teresas. There's one he just left.
That was Wayne.
Was that-
Wayne.
yeah.
Yeah, Wayne logged in under me. So anyway, somehow I thought I heard Buzz somewhere.
I'm here by phone as well.
And Bridget. Okay. Okay. I don't understand. There's Buzz. There's Wayne back. So anyway, I will continue on. Wayne, you didn't have any questions, did you? You were waving your hand earlier.
Yeah, I was trying, I lost volume. I lost everything. I couldn't hear anything that you just said. From the time I asked the question, that's why I couldn't hear anything.
Okay.
And the doggone closed caption goes too fast for a sixth grader to read.
Okay. And now I see
And Buzz left. I don't know where Buzz went.
Buzz
to.
is on there now. Yeah.
He's on his phone.
Yeah, he's
Hey
on.
y'all, yeah, I found the right email to log in via phone.
Okay, great. Okay. So do you really want me to start all over again?
I mean, I don't care, but I mean, that means I don't have any information of what you said. I mean, I asked a specific question like about.
No, you guys had meetings. We had meetings. So due to all the change in with COVID and the change in staff, you guys need to actually have somebody who knows what they're doing, which will be Brennan, not Teresa. Teresa does not know codes, does not know parking other than how to park or towing or anything like that. So Brennan will be your staff support going forward today. And the process, and I need to let you, I think we touched base on this a little bit. The process for changing the codes, you need to understand, you guys were talking about having you guys are an advisory council. And remember, a couple of times I talked to you about, you wanted to have a couple of you guys going out and checking signs and doing this. You are an advisory council. Staff will have to do those types of work.
How do we
And-
make staff do it?
Well, that's part of the codes if that needs to be done. And Brennan would be able to understand how to go about doing that. The code that you guys have changed, all the codes, that needs to go before the city manager. Okay, your suggested changes goes to the city manager for his review and his discussion with the staff in regards to the suggested code changes. And then once that's approved via city manager and a process is approved via staff, then it goes to city council for their approval and the implementation. So I just wanted to let you know that. That's what I've come to learn over the last couple of meetings, how that works. And am I correct in saying that all of that, Duncan? Did I get that, Brennan? Did I get
Yes,
that right?
I believe all that was correct.
Okay. And so, there is a towing coordinator who is per the code, the towing coordinator. So they would be in charge of what the city has to do with the code, not the advisory group.
So correct me if I'm wrong, Teresa, the towing coordinator is a member of the advisory group?
Yes, they participate.
That would be
There would be
lead.
a city staff member of the towing.
No, the towing coordinator is Lee,
Okay,
is the
because
police
it was
officer.
Josh.
Yes, it was Josh, now it's Lee.
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say, since I've been here, it was Lee.
But that's still a city staff person.
Right. And then Brennan, who is part of the, understands the zoning portion. The towing coordinator is the enforcement person, law enforcement, to be able to enforce that way. And then you have the Brennan as the code enforcement on that side. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So you have
So
a
now
law
we're-
enforcement person, and then you have a staff enforcement person.
So I guess so what from this is, certainly we, correct me if I'm wrong, we don't have a city manager. We're contracting out for a consultant city manager. It's going to be way down their priority list. I mean, do you anticipate this being in front of anyone to vet to council in the next couple quarters?
Well, you guys have done so much work at this point. So, what you need to do is have separate set of eyes on it, Brennan being the code person, to discuss with his director and then the deputy city manager who is over that department, which would be Sam. So I'm not sure if they will approve and move that forward in front of the city council after the first of the year, or if they're going to wait. That will have to be a discussion that will have to be had between Brennan and his director and Sam to figure out how to move forward with your suggested code. If they approve the codes and everything works as well as it's supposed to do, and they get the approval to move it forward in front of city council.
Yeah, I'll
So
just,
we were
I'll
missing a
just,
step.
I'll just say that, if we can come to resolution on what this board thinks it should be, like moving it forward shouldn't take that long. I think, we can get with Sam, as long as everything makes sense and we're not drastically changing the code, if it's just updating it, if it's clarifications and stuff, I think those are relatively easy. And then it would just be, getting on council, and then myself probably as the staff person would present it to council saying, these are the changes, these are why. Do a quick explanation, and then it would probably be 1 or 2 readings on city council to get it through.
It makes absolutely no sense. I mean, we might as well just start over from scratch, ground one. Like, I mean, now we're throwing another city employee in, and I don't know. It's just like everything's getting changed, but not changed for what we need as a towing business in the city of Charlottesville.
I'm,
And
I'm not trying to change anything. I'm just saying.
we are.
No, I get that. I'm saying I'm not trying to disrupt the process or anything that you guys have already done.
We
I
haven't
don't know
done.
why we need to start over.
I mean, I've been on the towing board since 2013, and you know, it was stuff was supposed to be changed then, never got changed, and I've been trying and trying and trying and trying. I think Buzz, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think you've been on here for 3 years now, and for the last 3 years, we've had meetings and meetings and meetings, and we cannot get anything done. This city ordinance is written completely wrong. It's junk. It's scrap. It always has been, and it needs to be fixed. And nothing never gets done.
I will say,
I
although
describe it a
think-
little bit differently. I think I can't speak to what existed before I came on, but I think we took a pretty thorough walk through at least to find some kind of near-term opportunities to mark up. And you know, maybe no one's fault on the call here, but we've basically been stuck because of turnover in the city for 18 months. It's like, you know, why are we doing this?
Right. I'm trying to come on to help that. I've been with the city 6 years now. I'm not planning on going anywhere. So I think that was partially why Sam had appointed me, as well as the fact that I have a little bit more technical background to assist in getting this over the finish line. So that's really why I'm here. That's what I'm trying to help accomplish. So
What we were trying to do is, you know, we were skipping a step and not understanding the code on my part, not understanding how this worked. You know, we worked together in changing up the codes that you guys wanted to do, gave it to the city attorney, and we thought giving it to the city attorney would be getting it onto the agenda. Well, that does not, we skipped a step because we left out completely city staff in regards to, you know, and the city manager in regarding to the codes. And so that's why Brennan is here. And so we're backed up a little bit, but that doesn't mean that you have to start completely over at this point.
Okay, may I ask, so where does that put us? Because we were still working on the code, you know, trying to get it where everybody was in agreement. So once we're done with this code, and I know we kicked it, the like draft to the attorney. So you said backtrack, where does that leave us? What is happening now? Someone else has to go over the code where we're at, or like?
Brennan has the code, and he's going to make sure that we are doing whatever the city is required to do as far as state guidelines regarding the towing. Then once Brennan and
Allison.
I guess
So it's
Jane,
like an approval. They got to go over, make sure we didn't cross any legal lines, and then it gets kicked back upstairs.
Yeah, so once we've, I'll probably get with Allison Davies and the attorney's office, make sure that we're not, like you said, crossing any legal lines that we shouldn't be. We'll get that back to you guys, make sure that you guys, you know, are good with anything that we did have to change. And that was where I said, once we come to that agreement of what the changed ordinance should be, then, you know, I'll just take it to the city manager's office, say, hey, this is what we're doing. We'll get it on the city council agenda, and then myself as the staff person will present that to council. You're all welcome to come to that meeting and you know, comment or participate, but usually, you know, those are presented by staff.
Wayne, do you feel any better about it, or do you still feel frustrated? Just wondering where you are at with all this.
Y'all don't even want me to give you my opinion. I mean, I'm so frustrated with this whole daggone
Wayne,
city board.
and I want to hear your opinion. I couldn't imagine why.
You know, I just think that honestly, I feel that we're fighting a losing battle. Every year we get a new police officer involved. Every year is a new police officer involved. I mean, and then we have to start all over because.
Well, it's easy for me to be optimistic because I haven't been doing this for as long as you, but I feel like with us here, we'll get things pushed along.
And I don't know.
Woo-saw, Wayne, woo-saw.
I mean, it just is always something backstepping it, and nobody for the city understands the city contract. Sorry, Brendan. Brendan, I'm not trying to say that you don't have a clue of what we're doing, but honestly, you have no clue of what we're doing. I mean, for 3 years, I guess the only one here that's been here for 3 years is me, Larry, and Buzz, and repeatedly we've had to, start back over. Yeah, some of it's been my fault because I disagree with what they want to do, but like Teresa was mentioning about the the coordinator is the one that's got to go out and check on things. But the whole thing with the coordinator, I have yet to be on here with a towing coordinator that has the time to go out and check these parking lots and check the signage and go to record services and enforce this stuff. They just don't have time. And, there's always something the city is throwing on them to do. And, so our option was a towing person and a citizen can, in their spare time, whatever, check his stuff, go back to the city coordinator. Between the three of them, we join parties and agree on everything. And then the city coordinator goes and enforces it. But apparently that can't even be an option either. So
No, I'm not saying that's not an option. I mean, I think what you're talking about is voluntarily going out there and doing it as a citizen. I think where the issue is where it's written into the code that it's the towing members.
It has to be an officer, someone who can enforce the law. We had that discussion.
Yeah,
right.
so
We all understood that, but somebody's got to make that officer do his job.
yes.
You want a more
Hey,
active.
hold on
I'm
for
not
a
saying
second.
nothing. I'm not saying nothing bad about any of them, but everyone that we've had, Lee's only been here for a few months. Everyone that we've had does not have time because the city's always making them do something else. They don't have time to go stroll through these private parking lots just to check to see if the signage is right. I can guarantee you there's only
Can y'all hear me?
few.
We can hear you, Lee.
Yes. So part of that, I hear what you're saying, and you're right. That's not something that's going to come up very often on our radar. What I would say is that it is not conventional for the police to do private property stuff. So as far as enforcement on that end, long term, I don't see that being realistic. If there's something on the legal side where, and you have to think about what our remedies are. So that's either tickets and arrest for us. We don't issue, I don't know what kind of zoning
Exactly.
things there are. You know what I'm saying? So to me,
Oh,
the
yeah,
whole checking parking lots is more of a zoning or a
exactly right.
city hall function.
And
It's
that's
just-
part of where the problem comes in, not to interrupt. I hate
Right.
to talk over you, but that's exactly where the problem
Sure.
comes in. It is very trivial for you or any other officer. It is a trivial matter. And then it's a whole new deck of cards that you have to learn to figure out on what's supposed to be permitted and what's not permitted. I think that's kind of where Wayne's at with it and kind of what he's been shaking his fist in the air about for so long. And so he's saying we need a method, that part of the code, which I believe is above us in general in this meeting, in this group, that is part of the code that is the problem, because we cannot legally enforce rules and laws and regulations, and we cannot ask you to not take care of,
Well, and there's,
pressing matters.
police have to be kind of boxed into doing police stuff.
Yeah.
And
So
I'm not
we
saying
are in
this
need
isn't,
of
I'm just
someone
saying
who-
for the enforcement, that's more,
Exactly.
private property stuff and whatever, all the other zoning rules and all that kind of stuff are. You know, it's not a police action type thing. You know, going in and
That's-
checking people's files and stuff is
That's
not
exactly,
that's actually
exactly.
crossing lines for us.
I can
Okay.
believe it 100%. That's his point, is we need an active way to
Sure.
say, because, and as an officer, I'm sure you know, one foul move on one company or two companies out of 12, and it reflects poorly on us all. We all get punished, and all we want is to be able to go, well, look, see, we did what we were supposed to do. It's not us, but it doesn't go that way. When it trickles downhill, when that shit starts rolling downhill, it just rolls over all of us. I mean, and it's frustrating. And so, it is all of our jobs to make sure that people are not being robbed, that we are doing our jobs. But like that's what Wade's saying. We need a better method. I'm not saying we should be out here poking the beehive for no reason, but if there's a reason for concern, if we have, we have customers, I guarantee you, Wayne does. I have customers. I had two young ladies just yesterday go, "Oh, do you take credit card?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." "Oh, the last time I got towed, they made me run to the bank on foot and get them cash." I'm like, "Well, you need to call and report that, darling, because that's illegal."
Yeah. And that's the
I
thing.
mean,
The
and
city
there's no one to
coordinator,
send it to.
the city coordinator, according to the ordinance, the city coordinator is Lee Gibson. So that the ordinance puts all that in the police officer on the board, their job. And there's never been a job to do. Like, they can't do it. And just like in Lee's own words, it's probably told me the city ordinance. So where
I'm not sure whose end it's on, but everything Wayne said on my end was garbled.
Yeah, I think
All right.
it's his end.
yeah, it was my end. Frustrated. When I had smoke and my earpiece disconnected. So what I'm saying is just like Lee just said, like, it's private property towing. The city police department don't have anything to do with it. And so they don't have time to do it and can't do it. But the city ordinance says the city police officer on the committee, it's his responsibility. He's the coordinator. So if you're fighting yourself, if legally one hand it's a police department and it's a private property tow, they've got nothing to do with it. Legally, on the other hand, the ordinance says he does have something to do with it. Where do you fall in place? So who's the one to make sure this ordinance is followed?
So I'll say I'm a person that looks for solutions. So I want to try and help here and figure something out. So I'm reading through our current ordinance. I don't see anything in there that says that the towing coordinator has to be the police officer. It is just the person appointed by the city manager to administer and enforce the regulations within the zoning code.
And
So,
that's the person
just-
appointed by the city manager is the police officer.
I understand that's the way it is right now. I'm saying maybe that's not the way that we need to do it moving forward. I'm trying to come
Brennan,
up with.
how do you think about?
Sorry about.
Yeah, no, I agree. That was always my read as well. But I think part of the tension there is that is the only required member as a part of the advisory board that is also city staff. So if that is also the unsaid prerequisite for enforcement of that position, then it de facto makes it the police officer.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean,
That was basically how it was explained to me the last meeting I was in as well, because I'm fairly new to this board. So
yeah, I mean, I know on other boards that we have, say our ADA coordinator, they're a city staff member. They're de facto on the board because they are the ADA coordinator, but they're not necessarily listed as one of the members of that board, if that makes sense. So again, I'm not saying this is the answer. I'm just saying that may be an answer that we can kind of write into the code. I can have that discussion with Sam. We do have a parking coordinator within the city. I can have a discussion with them. Maybe it would be better off, having them serve this purpose as well. And either they can can go around and check the signs themselves, or we have it written into the code where the signs are reviewed once a year. And we hire out a consultant or something to go and do that once a year. They just go check all the existing
Absolutely
parking
not.
lots.
The city wastes too much money now.
I hear you. We're talking about
Absolutely.
staff not having time to do it, so it doesn't get done. And we're talking about, I'm being honest here. So
So
I'm
why
saying,
wouldn't it just be simple for what we proposed? Like, I mean, I'm forever in those parking lots. Bridget's forever in those parking lots. Her employees are forever in that parking lots. You know, we find out, we know something's wrong. We know that the signage is wrong. And or Buzz, like, I mean, I think he was willing at the time to put some time in of his own to check on stuff. And then we come back to who is listed as a city coordinator and say, hey, this is wrong. This has to be fixed. They are in violation. And we need you to go to Small Town Tone and tell her that her sign has to be fixed by X day, or anything you told from that day, you're going to be fined.
He always
Wait.
picking on me.
Wayne, I think I hear what you're saying, but I think that's a really delicate line to have tow companies checking on other tow companies.
Why they do
I
it every
I
day,
think
all
there's
day
a lot
long.
of
Too. I think that would be
Now, I
considered
think as far as
conflict of
reporting,
interest,
I
and they
mean-
would fucking chew our asses.
And then where's the
Right.
line on that? Are you going into other tow companies and asking for all their records too? I mean, I don't think that's realistic.
But
I
see,
think
that's
it's
not what we
fine to
said was
have-
gonna happen.
No, but I mean, I think if, they're reporting things to the coordinator that are in violations, it's one thing if you see something out on the street, but I don't think an active role of, checking for compliance would be advantageous for, local tow companies to be checking other tow companies, and then, who's checking you all, and, it's just, to me, that seems like a slippery slope.
What
And I
is-
think, I like
But
Brennan's
but
idea
hold
of,
on. Hey, guys.
the parking stuff. Go ahead.
What about having the citizen members of the towing committee be those people that are helping with enforcement and the signage issues? Like, I don't have a conflict of interest. It's just a regular
Right.
citizen on its board.
I think either way is fine. I think, what Brennan's discussion about the parking coordinator, who is probably in a very similar same ball of wax, and/or citizens. But I think, my two concerns are definitely having tow companies check other tow companies. And then two, as I mentioned before, the police stuff is fine when it's police stuff. But I also think that's a slippery slope for us when we start going into other people's businesses and stuff, because there's a fine line on the law there and doing city code stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think you're
I
right.
agree.
I understand. I think that's right. Yeah.
And I
I'd
don't want
be
to cut
happy
this
to do
off.
that. I mean, go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say I've got to run to another 1:30 meeting. It sounds like since this one's
It might
discussion
run
based
over a
right
little
now.
bit, huh?
That's
Yeah.
exactly, that's, and Lee, I'm sorry, but that's exactly one thing I'm talking about. When we schedule these meetings are scheduled for a 2-hour period. And this is one of the things we've always had an issue with the police officer on the board, is he either can't make it, he don't have time, he's been scheduled to do something else, got another meeting to be to at 1:30. You understand what I'm saying? The
Yeah, and
city
I've been
has
to every
never
meeting that we've had
participated
so
in
far.
this.
Hold on. I've been to every meeting that I've been appointed to so far, and this is the first one that I've left early for. And there's no vote in this one. It doesn't sound like. So you're right. Unfortunately, there are times where I have to go somewhere else, and
But
this
that's
is
what
one of them.
that's what I'm
Unfortunately,
saying is the city doesn't allow the person they placed on the board to participate.
Okay, I'm gonna break through with something completely different real quick, and I understand if you've got to go. Wayne, what is the actual job that Paul and that other gentleman have? I mean, I know that they deal with a lot of the private parking type stuff. What is their actual title?
Who
What do
is
they
it?
do? Paul Jones and the other gentleman, I can't remember his name.
They CSOs. Larry, don't kick me in the tail because you used to call them the same thing. Meter maids.
So, okay. So
Community
they're,
service officers, so they don't have
But-
anything to do with private property towing.
well, they don't, but they're always around. Are they someone that would be considered a third party / knowledgeable enough to do said, I'm in the area, this looks off, let me call somebody?
I doubt it because they are actually employees of the Charlottesville Police Department.
Gotcha. Just a thought.
So I apologize for my ignorance here, but is the majority of the signage issue within private parking lots, or are we talking about signage within the towing agencies themselves, or is it both?
So this committee only deals with private property towing. So anything and everything that we speak about would be on the private property towing part of the industry.
Right, but is it private parking lots, or is this the actual tow yards where we're talking about where the vehicles are being towed to as far as the
I mean,
signage?
honestly, both, but
Okay.
the majority, the biggest problem is in the parking lot where the car gets towed from.
Okay.
I can't, you know, I don't know if Bridget has this problem, but I feel sometimes that there's only a couple record services out of the 9 or whatever that operate around here that pays Google to be on their listings, because I get phone calls for almost every record service a day. Well, Google gave me your number for this company, but
In my defense, Google kicked me. I still haven't figured out why.
but there's no signage. There's either no signage, or the signage is poor and unlegible, or it's not the proper size, it's not reflective, it's not, you know, there's one company in town, I've handed over 2 or 3 receipts from them where they're overcharging.
Okay.
And, you know, again, nothing gets done.
Well, I'll say this. If there are, I mean, again, we're working through rewriting the code, but if you come across those, send them to me. If Teresa doesn't, if it's not already on the email chain that everyone was copied on, my email should be there. Teresa can send it out, but
But it's not logical for me to send it to you because I'm another record service.
I don't, but if it's a parking lot, it's not a wrecker service. If the signage that's wrong is in a private parking, that was where my question was, you know, being targeted in the first place. Like, if you're commenting on a sign that's in a private property that is not your competitor, it's not you, it's just a private parking lot. I'm not sure where the conflict of interest there is.
So the sign that would be wrong would be for another record service, per se, what you would call my competitor.
Okay,
You know, so in other words, I don't even know if you know the way the ordinance is written, there has to be a sign posted at every entrance,
right.
okay, to that private parking lot. So Bridget has one property and her sign is at the entrance to the building. My sign is at the entrance to all my properties. There's signs that do not match the city code, the ordinance.
Okay,
Now, in 2012, when they wrote this, I don't even think it's in the ordinance, but it was verbally said, okay, well, we'll let them be grandfathered in at this time. But I mean, you're talking about, what is that, 10 years ago, 15 years ago?
right.
You know, and these signs are still in place. They're written in, you know, some of them's black letters, some of them's brown letters. There's some that's red letters, but over a period of time, those signs fade.
Yeah, I mean, it is in the city code that says signs that prior to the adoption of this, in the sole opinion of the towing coordinator,
There you go.
have to substantially conform to the above requirements. So, again, I will have the discussion with Sam about this now that we've kind of had our first meeting and
Who
I've
is
been
saying?
introduced to some of this about who that towing coordinator needs to be. If we should keep it with the police, then we need to actually, you know, make sure that they have the resources to be able to do it. Or we need to appoint some other staff member who does have a little bit more that they can dedicate to doing this. But still, I don't think if you want to report that to the towing coordinator, as, hey, I think there's an issue with this sign, then that person can go out and investigate, and take a look at it. But then it's up to them to enforce. And I think that's where the heartache was on of having the members be both the reporter and the enforcer.
Well, we won't asking for the members to be the enforcer. We was just saying that, we legitimately see it all the time, and we can go to the coordinator and say, okay, this is our opinion between myself and Buzz and the coordinator. We all agree that it needs to be fixed, or we disagree, it doesn't need to be fixed.
Right.
And then if it needs to be fixed, the towing coordinator goes to Small Town Towing and says, fix this sign. You got 30 days to fix this sign, or you'll be fined for every tow that you do after that 30 days.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll have that discussion with them. But like I said, if you want to go ahead and email them to me, just so that we can start building that record for whoever's going to do it. If it's me, if it's the parking coordinator, if we're going to appoint somebody else, whatever it is, I would rather have that list, starting to be, put together, for us to look at in the interim, because it sounds like that's the issue that you're trying to address here with rewriting the whole ordinance.
I mean, one of the issues.
Well, right.
He's definitely more like right now he's discussing the signs. I think my issue is like I said, it just happened yesterday. When I joined this board, one of the things I really wanted to fix was these two young ladies, college students, being so utterly surprised about being able to use their credit card.
Absolutely.
I just feel like, part of the job is to make sure that the companies are not out here taking advantage because of the position you put people in. I have your car. You are stuck where
Right.
you're at until I release your car. And it is not safe, depending on where you're at in particular, for these young ladies and young people and older, people in general to have to be running around on foot to collect cash, and there's no one for these ladies to go to. And my husband, who doesn't understand the tow board, and what we're doing here, really, he's like, well, my wife's from the tow board. Maybe she can help you. I'm like, no, I can't. Because I can't. I couldn't help her. There was nothing I could do. I said, call Charlottesville City, ask for the traffic division, and file a complaint. I was like, that's all you can do.
Yeah.
There
And
actually
that
used
is
to be
what
a phone
my thing
number.
is.
There actually used to be a phone number, and I think it was back when Tito was still on the board, that the police officers on the street, traffic units, they knew the phone number, or somebody could give them that phone number to give to somebody if they had a complaint, and that number got forwarded directly to the towing coordinator.
Okay.
But that was probably, I mean,
Yeah,
how
but
long has it been since
that was
Tito's been
why I
on here?
joined, in hopes to find a way, because like I said, I'm not perfect. One day one of these complaints might be on me, rather justified or not. But there
Well,
is
and
nowhere for these people to go.
Yeah, the police non-emergency line is supposed to be on those signs.
And it is.
Exactly.
But and I told them,
On
but people,
some of the
some of
signs.
these people just don't even know that this isn't legal. Who's going to tell them it's not legal?
Right.
So I mean, it's just hard. So like they were, of course, talking to me. They're like, "Oh my God, really?" I'm like, "Yeah, honey. If it ever happens again, you need to file a complaint. And if it was recent, you need to file a complaint." I was like, "But yeah, that's not okay. It's not okay." So I told her to call the non-emergency number, ask for the traffic division, and that she could file a complaint. I didn't even ask what company it was. I don't know. I just know it was local, and it was recently, like within the last 2 months.
I know what company it was.
I could guess, but I don't know.
And that's just like drivers not taking credit cards in the truck. I've had that complaint before too, for
Yeah,
like a
that's not okay.
show up
I mean,
fee or a drop fee.
On occasion, yes, maybe the credit card machine's not working, got dust in it. Okay, but it shouldn't be a common occurrence.
Right.
Okay.
So yeah, that's where we're at. So yeah, you're hearing a lot about the signs, but the signs is only a piece of it. The signs is almost something to go, okay, well, this looks hinky. We should ask about this. Because
and I
unless these
know,
people complain, we don't know. If those young ladies didn't say something, I wouldn't know to tell you.
So do you have anything in the new revised ordinance to address that? Or,
I don't know, Buzz, are you still listening? I know you know better than I do on
That's a
exactly,
state
because I
ordinance. It's not so much a
don't.
city ordinance. State law says we have to take two forms of major payment.
Yeah,
Right.
there's I guess we were talking a lot of different issues there. The one that jumped to mind was that the sign adherence to the existing code. I think in our most recent version, we had identified basically, and again, this goes to, actually being able to execute on this, but where we go out and document which ones do meet the standard, and then give them that notice by a given date to be replaced. There
Right.
is in the existing code some clause that basically says anything before the enactment of that ordinance that was deemed by the towing coordinator to be substantially in accord, it gets kind of wrapped in, and that's fine. But yeah, it doesn't speak to ongoing things. But yeah, as of this, credit card issue or some of these other kind of bad actor issues, this is where the enforcement would come with some fees and penalties. But
yeah,
obviously not
I guess
happening in
I'm just
practice right now.
wondering if it would be, I mean, if we're gonna do something like this, like add something within the ordinance that says, there's a sticker or some kind of marker or something that the city puts on that sign to indicate, it's been inspected and has passed the inspection or something. Just so that, we don't, if 10 years from now, we're looking at this ordinance again, there's a date and kind of time when it was established that those signs were in compliance or whatever else. But yeah, I mean, stuff that, what you're talking about, Bridget, as far as state code requiring two forms of ID, like, I'm not sure how this code or this board really enforces it more so than, if we're getting complaints, about it, they're going to go to the police. Like, that's,
Oh, no, exactly. Like I said, it was
Yeah.
why I joined before I understood the scope of this board. You're
Gotcha.
not wrong. I'm just saying, when I joined, these were things that concerned me as a business owner and a fair person. So that was why I joined. So I get now the scope of things and know that we may not touch on some of the issues I have, but if there was someone more actively handling it in general, more would be done. I
Right.
just feel like it's a more common occurrence than it should be. And maybe once all this is squared away, we can get to a point where we can go, okay, this isn't okay.
And I know, Brennan, you had said something, difference between the state code and the city code. It's my understanding, has always been my understanding, if the local city has an ordinance of their own, overrides the state code,
No, well, yes and no. So we can
except for money.
we can be more strict than the state code, but we cannot be less strict than the state code.
Exactly.
So it does not supersede it. Like, we can't just ignore some portion of the state code, but we can add on to it.
Right. We can say, okay, you've got to take 3 forms of credit card instead of 2.
Correct. Yep.
Right.
So
And
yeah,
that's-
so yes, I guess my point was, like, something that's actually enforcement based like that. Like, that's still going to have to incorporate the.
So, okay, so I'm gonna throw something way off on this.
Okay.
So since you're actually saying that, see, that doesn't make sense neither, because you're saying that because the state code says you got to be at number 5, 1 out of 10. The state code says you got to be at number 5, and the city only wants to be at number 3. You're not allowed to do that. You have to be at number 5.
Number 5 or number 3 of what? What do you?
Just anything, 1 out of 10. Okay, so I'll make it a little bit more clear. So the Virginia State Code now says that we can charge $160 for nighttime towing of private property. The Charlottesville Code says 150. So we can charge 160 and not get in trouble because the city code says 150.
No, because we're more restrictive in that. So sometimes more restrictive means more, sometimes it means less. And I know that it's
So,
not clear, but so in that instance, if the state code says you can charge up to $160, then more restrictive, we can say, well, you can't charge more than $150, but we couldn't say you can charge up to $200.
where's he at? Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like double talking yourself, I guess. Where's he at?
I'm sorry, I don't know how to make that clearer, but I mean, it's like playing golf versus playing basketball. Sometimes a higher score is better, sometimes a lower score is better, depending on the situation.
Oh, okay. Hey, hold on.
Oh, I don't know. I think if it can be done, it can be done. If it can't be done, it can't be done. I mean,
I guess I'll ask another maybe stupid question, but is there like a Cliff Notes version of what the important changes are to the ordinance that you guys are going for, that I should be focusing on rather than, I mean, I can read them side by side, but if there's a specific, 2, 3, 4 items that you guys are really looking to change, I
think-
can
Go ahead,
concentrate
Wayne.
my efforts there.
so my thing was, and I wanted to go through the whole ordinance, give it to the city at one time. Because if you go to the last paragraph, I'm trying to read it now, and say it correctly. The way I read it, the city only wants to hear from us every 3 years. But everybody else said I'm wrong. Any review of rate changes
Well,
as
for-
well as recommended change to any rule, regulation, or practice there to shall come before the advisory board, which meeting shall be open to the public. Schedule as soon as analysis, investigation, administrative permit, regulations, advisory board, towing coordinator. All right, so that, what I just read was B. But in A, it says the towing coordinator shall conduct a review of towing rates every 3 years.
Yep.
And in the last sentence of B, it says any administrative permit, all recommendations of the advisory board and towing coordinator shall be conveyed to the city council for its consideration, determination, and potential adoption. Because A is written first, B, C, and D falls underneath A.
Well, but all of that only applies to changes to the maximum rates and charges. So it's not that we don't want to hear from you more than 3 years. It's just that you can't change the rates more than every 3 years.
No, any review of rate changes as well as any recommended change to any rule, regulation, or practice. So that's the entire ordinance. And there again, it says the towing coordinator is responsible for it,
Right.
which they don't have time.
To be fair, if future revisions go at the same cadence, we're never going to worry about that sooner than 3-year mark.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that makes sense. Like, I mean, you can come bring up, additional changes, but it makes the most sense to do it all at one time. If you're gonna update the code, just do it every 3 years and incorporate any changes to either the rates or the regulations. Like,
And I guess the reason it makes sense for it to be 3 years is because everybody's supposed to have a 3-year term. So within your 3-year term, and I'm assuming that when the smarties that wrote this ordinance figured that it started in 2012, so 2015, y'all have to make decisions on changing it new for the new people to take over in 2015 to 2018.
right.
But that doesn't happen because like the city actually called me in 2013 because the first 2 people, towing companies they put on this towing board had absolutely no clue about Charlottesville, private property towing in Charlottesville or anything. And they called me in 2013 and asked me if I could step in and come to the meeting and be part of the meeting to get this straight because it was not working. And that's where I've been ever since then.
Okay.
And like, I mean, we honestly have not been having legitimate meetings until a little over 3 years ago, back when I think Buzz and another guy was in on it.
Yeah.
So that's where the 3-year term falls from. And that's where the 3 years of turning in rule changes and regulations. The
Yep.
the city council ain't got time for this.
Yeah, no, I would agree that
penny
it doesn't make
piss
sense
ant
to
stuff.
take, it doesn't make sense to take something to them every year.
Exactly.
So, and it
And
might not, I mean, it
I'm
just
glad
says that
somebody
you have to-
finally agrees with me on that.
it just says that you have to do a review every 3 years. It doesn't mean that you have to change something every 3 years either. Like, we could go 9 years without, I mean, if we
As long as
do a
it's
good,
working.
if we do a good zoning change, you know, maybe the only thing that needs to change is the rates. Like, if the rest of the text is good. So I think I hear your frustration, Wayne, and hopefully I can help. So
I mean, like, I know Buzz is frustrated too, because Buzz has put a lot of work in and he wants to see something changed because that's what he got on here to do. And, you know, he's been in it for 3 years. But,
Yep.
you know, I've been in it for what, I don't know how many years, I can't even count. But, you know, and like, this all in all, in the end, it'll never affect a citizen member unless he parks in my parking lot. It'll never affect anybody at the city. Who it's going to affect is me and Bridget and every other record service in the city of Charlottesville,
right.
or the record services that's towing over the city of Charlottesville.
Okay.
Anybody else agree with that? Disagree with that? I think everybody's out to lunch.
No, actually, I'm snacking. Thank you. I'm snacking. All sounds good to me. It sounds like we are hurry up and waiting at this point.
Yeah, I apologize if that's where we're at, but I think
Sometimes
I
can't be
will-
helped.
I will get with Allison Davies and try and go through and make sure that, you know, if we need to change anything, we change it to make sure that we're not violating state code or law or whatever. And then I'll try and shoot that back to you guys probably after the new year. Just with holidays and stuff coming up, I'm guessing it'll be that long. And then as long as we're all in agreement after that, like if we need to make any changes or whatever, we can do those, but we should be able to get this on a council agenda by, you know, February, March at the very latest, I would think.
Yeah, because I think there was a few more things we wanted to go over. I'm pretty sure, Buzz, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you told me last time that we did go over the whole ordinance, but I think
Yeah,
we probably ought to have.
Wayne, the version
Go ahead, Buzz.
you're good. The version I'd emailed you, I think it did like late October. I can kick it over to you again. That was the last time we went all the way through, and I think that included Bridget. I would, and this is just one person's vote, I would be inclined, especially if Brennan thinks he can push this through in the next couple of months, I would be inclined to get that through and initiate that process. And then if there's anything else we want to start tweaking, have that kind of be parallel.
What?
I'll say, and this is not any like absolutist or anything like that. If we start from square one again, I don't know that I personally have the appetite for that.
Right. Well, I would
tweaks-
suggest that before we say send it to the city, let Brennan go over it, and then maybe our next meeting, we all can go back over the subjected changes and agree on them again, and then send it to the city.
I'd be fine with that.
Okay.
As long as we're all in agreement.
Yeah, what
I'm not
other
hard to go along with.
what other tweaks are you talking about, Buzz? Because once we put this into city code and revise it, like, there's not really tweaking it, like,
Yeah, I don't have a short list, Brennan. I think that's more me nodding towards Wayne, who I think has a little bit more interest in doing some more stuff there. I would be fine with the red line version I sent to you, but knowing that the rest of the group might want to take a look at some other things.
okay. Well, let's do that then. I'll commit to taking a look at this here in the next couple weeks and get with Allison. And then come back to you guys. We can set a meeting. How often are you guys meeting right now? Is it every other month or every month? What-
Yep.
I think it's
Every other.
yeah,
Every
yeah,
other?
every other.
Okay. So if we want to, I'll try and I'll shoot it to like if I do have any revisions, I'll shoot that out in January. That'll give everybody about a month to kind of look over it and get their thoughts together. And then, we can maybe go through it in detail in February and see if there's any other little things that we want to, adjust at that point. Does that sound like a plan?
Okay. Yeah, I think as long as we all can get together in that next meeting, and just go over it. I think just so we're all fresh and everybody's opinions.
Yep. And
I do
Yeah,
got
that makes sense.
I'll have that
The-
discussion with city manager's office about who we think the actual towing coordinator should be. And I'll try and convey the frustration with having it be the police officer up to this point. And, if they want it to still be that person, then they need to make sure that they have the time and resources to actually do it.
It's been one of my biggest frustrations.
Understood.
A quick caveat on the scheduling side, and certainly you'd be in capable hands with Ashley if she's filling in for the Citizen, but I'll be at Fort Polk, Louisiana, February 6th through March 6th. So if you do want me there, we might have to adjust a little bit just every 2 months. Otherwise, happy to have Ashley fill.
Okay. I mean,
I-
we can do it. We could do it late January too, if that works better with people's schedules.
Yeah, I feel that, if it's gonna get put through, I think Buzz ought to be present.
Okay.
So however, whatever we gotta do to make his dates work.
Is there a day or time that works better? I mean, is 1 o'clock a good time for most people? Is there a day of the week that works better or?
The Thursdays, 1 o'clock is what we've been typically doing for the
Okay.
last 3 years.
All right. Well, I'll take a look. I'll get with Teresa and we'll see. Just
Buzz-
looking, January 27th would be that last Thursday in January. I don't know if
Well,
that,
Buzz, you said you're leaving on the 6th, right?
I am, yeah.
February 6th.
so yeah, we could either do January 27th or February 3rd.
Right.
I think I could do the 3rd. I want to say I'm going to be in Lancaster County on the 27th.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was thinking the 3rd would put us into February, so that would legitimately be 2 months.
Yep.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, right now I could do the 3rd.
Okay. Why doesn't everyone go ahead and block that off then, and we'll get an official invite sent?
Sounds good to me. Thank y'all.
Um,
All right.
and one other thing I got, Brendan, since you are the logistics person, and I know I think I've been told no on this before, but and I'm gonna use 3 people as an example. Me, Buzz, and Bridget cannot have a meeting and talk about this, can we? Privately on our own time.
I'm not sure how, like, you guys are not a like formal elected board, like planning commission or city council. So I don't know on that. I would have to double check with legal.
Okay.
I mean, technically, Wayne, it wouldn't be anything but us brainstorming because we can't do anything other than bounce ideas off each other to then present here to a meeting. So, I mean, I guess
that's-
technically it would be allowed because it would
That's
just
the
be.
way
us
I feel about
brainstorming.
it. I mean, that's the way I feel about it, but I'm pretty sure I've been told no several times.
Ah.
But
I can
Since-
ask the question for you, Wayne.
yeah, I mean, since you were the one that knows the logistics.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Anything else?
I think that's it for this meeting. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Till next
Huh?
time, y'all have a good
Thank-
day. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good to
Thank
have
you,
you, Brennan.
Buzz. Thank you,
Nice to hear
Bridget.
from y'all.